as a 3, they get us as a 2, they get us with YouTube and all of us sitting on top of YouTube like we own it. And then like they just get so many different versions of the QRP. We're very flexible. Everything looks good on my end. Frames, CPU, network, all looks fine.
Okay. And I can't believe we actually pulled off the live stream. Jesus.
Okay, let's just check. Yeah, and it actually ran pretty smoothly. But it was a good time.
It still sounds great. Whatever you've done, you've clocked that in. That is working a treat.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I try.
Okay. All right. Sound. Shall we get cracking then?
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's do it.
All right. Hi everyone. Welcome to episode 157 of the Quick Resume podcast. My name is Deck. If you haven't been here before, over there, that's Tim.
Hello. Hi.
And I mean, the thing is, I wish it was easier to introduce the show and just say, we talk about Xbox stuff. What does that fucking mean?
It's not a thing anymore, is it? We talk about the video games. Company.
Yeah, we talk about the green company. Man. So anyway, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done a show. The last thing we did was the live stream for the Developer Direct, which we were all, well, actually, by the looks of it, the whole internet was pretty thrilled with, which was nice. You know, it's nice that Xbox is getting their shit together now that, you know, they're kind of not doing exclusives anymore. You know, putting the console second.
Got their shit together for everyone else to benefit. Meanwhile, we would just be trekking through the mud for years. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And I think that's you know, I think it's quite reflective of how a lot of the community's feeling. And I'm starting to see this. We'll talk about this a bit later, but just like at the top of the show, it's a bit of a headline. Like I'm starting to see some of that sentiment come down to more casual audiences. But we'll come to that a bit later because we've had a bit more news about Xbox ports and whatever. And man, there's some. It's just like it's so annoying that it's news every time now. It's so annoying.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, and it will continue to be a news until other companies start adopting the same principles, which they may or may not. So it could forever be headlines. It's like the staple headline, really. Isn't it? Yeah,
it really is. Man, so before we get into all of that and the Xbox news and just a couple of headlines for what you can look forward to, you know, to really get your saliva going, we missed talking about the PlayStation cancellations. So we're going to come around to that because I think that's kind of interesting. Forza Horizon 6, why do we keep saying that? Forza Horizon 5, not 6. Forza Horizon 5, Age of Mythology, Age of Empires 2, Remastered, all going to PlayStation 5. Microsoft being the #1 publisher in December in terms of revenue. Pretty interesting. Right. Bigger than your EA, bigger than your Capcom, bigger than your Take-Two. They were the most in terms of they made the most in terms of bringing money in December 2024, and then a bit of a rumor at the end if we get around to it. But also we can't also forget that Avowed is coming out next week. We got, you know, this kind of fairly, I don't want to say big. I mean, it's on the small end of big, you know. I don't think it's on the big end of small. I think it's on the small end of big. Size game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. All right.
It's the thin end of the cheese wedge. You know.
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. I think.
Good.
I think so.
Okay. Yes. So there's plenty of stuff to talk about there. You know, as we approach that with our excitement. I guess next week will be the final show we have before the game launches into early access because it launches on Thursday. I think it is Thursday. So it'll launch like right over the time we do the podcast. So all of that and more to get into today. Tim, what have we been playing, buddy?
I haven't been playing too much, I don't think. I've been a bit of a busy boy doing other things. What have I been playing? I mean, we've been getting into VOW again, Valorant. We've been playing that loads. That's pretty much occupied most of our spare time. I played a little bit of Octo, but really not much to really deem worthy of mentioning. Because it's kind of just hit the back burner. I'm in this awkward point where I'm like, I'm playing a lot of Vow. Obviously, it's like my social game, and a lot of people are on most evenings now. And then Avowed is coming out quite soon now, so I'm gonna want to play that. And then obviously Monster Hunter is just the end game. Like, let's be
It's the
real.
final boss of video games.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like dipped the motivation for Octopath, but I definitely want to go back and finish it. I've really enjoyed my time with it so far. And I'm just trying to think what else. Was there something else? I don't think there has been. No.
I mean, we haven't played Diablo for a while, have we?
No, we did play the new season for a little bit and start new characters on that. But then unfortunately again, just work and all that gets in the way. Our Caden, our third, where we were playing it with, side
Arcaded.
Arcaden. If you're listening, shout out.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah, he
Good
started like moving on to like nights, and he wasn't really around on weekends anymore. I wonder why. And yeah, so
Man.
that's me. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been really fun going back to Valorant. I've really had a good time. I really think that is a really great multiplayer game. And I feel, I don't know, like maybe if our viewers get this as well, if you buy a game and then you don't end up playing it, been getting like serious Diablo remorse, but like I'm just more motivated to play Valorant at the moment. I'm hooked.
I do get that as well. Yeah, there's moments where we boot out to play a Vow, or like it's like 9, and the other day I literally turned on my Xbox upstairs to play Octopath, and then you messaged me like, on, and I was like, I should really play Octopath, but I kind of want to click on heads.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has that sort of feeling when it comes to playing a game over your standard multiplayer you've already sunk days into, but
Definitely. So I mean that's been me as well. I've mainly just been playing Valorant, and I've really sucked into it again, which is like nice. Like I really enjoying a PvP game to the degree where I'm having fun playing it. I'm okay losing. I'm thrilled winning, and just like
we're pretty
getting
washed
better
though.
and learning. Yeah,
We're pretty fucking no cap,
yeah.
man. We have lost all of our res. Zero
Nah,
res
I
in
mean,
Valorant.
it's a type of game that we're really like not. Yeah, like I bet most people who would like come from a background of what like COD and Apex, I guess, going into something like Valorant, I think would struggle. I think that's probably. I mean, yeah, I don't doubt that on the RISA meter, we've definitely fallen a few notches, but
I still feel like it's
yeah,
quite like a novelty. I haven't really done much of that type of shooter, that tactical shooter.
yeah,
And I just like even with a loss, as frustrating as they can be, it kind of just helps you learn to just be better as well a little bit. Just try not to be so frustrated with it. At the end of the day, it's just a game, and you're just in fucking silver. It's not the end of the world.
That goes out to all our fucking randos who are like sending me death threats every match, and it's like, dude,
it's
you're
always
silver.
you. Like,
why is it always me?
Whether you're top fragging, bottom fragging, or just slinking in the middle somewhere, you always get the message, and I don't know why.
Fucking nuts.
You do
like
if I'm doing aggravates players.
If I'm doing if I'm doing well, no, if I'm doing bad, I get a message saying uninstall. If I'm doing well, I get a message saying try hard sweating in silver, and I'm like, oh, like fucking leave me alone, dude.
Or even if you're top fragging and we're losing, the like other players on that team just like the other day just started calling you shit. They were just like, you fucking shit, like that, because I think you were like the only one that was like even slightly competitive to them. That they were just like, because I didn't get anything, and I was just like middle fragging. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, it's just something about me, clearly. Yeah. Fun. So yeah, feeling a little bit of remorse about Diablo, and that's not to say we didn't have a good time. We were having a good time, but we were playing it as a 3, and as Tim said, our Caden, our third, went off doing some night shifts and hasn't been around on weekends. So like we just haven't had a chance to go back really. And yeah, I'm just like now I'm in the swing of playing Valorant, and I just want to play more Valorant. So rip me, I guess. Rip
Mm-hmm.
Diablo. Rip Mephisto.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I've been playing is Nine Souls.
Oh yeah.
I'm playing that quite a
Yeah.
lot. Put about 13 hours into that now. I don't actually know what to expect in terms of the like completion time. If I had to guess, it's probably like 20 hours, just based on
Mm.
like the speed that the story's going at. Um, but it's a good fucking game, man. Like I'm really having a good time, and like it's a funny story with that because for everybody who doesn't know, Xbox have recently changed how their reward system works. So like you just get stuff by playing Game Pass games, and you've got to play them for 15 minutes to get it in your punch card. And then if you keep doing that over a week, you get multipliers, and then it tops up for the next week. You gotta do that. So anyway, I was just like, I'm just gonna boot up Night Owls for like 15 minutes while I because I've heard really good things about it, just like while I wait for my friends to come on or whatever. And I tried it for the first 15 minutes, and the opening to that game is like really like really striking. It's
Mm.
like really shocking, and it's a bit of like an immediate twist. To like because I knew nothing about the game really. I just knew you played as a cat. So I was like, this is going to be a dorky little game. I wonder what everybody loves about it so much. And then
Yeah.
like it's a whole thing. It's a whole fucking thing.
Yeah. You
And it's
said.
really good. Yeah, like this Sekiro style inspired, like rapid parrying, like parry centric combat. Um, really good. I'd probably give it like an 8.5 at the moment. I was up till recently, I was thinking more of a 9, but I think there's a couple of blemishes in the spawn system and the map, which just bring it down from being a 9. But I think this is this studio's like debut game. And so if this is their debut
Mm.
game and like they're gonna make a Nine Souls 2, like they're fucking cooking because there's like a lot of original ideas here in terms of aesthetic, applying the Sekiro style combat to 2D.
Mm.
Um, I think the story's told really nice and organically. A lot of environmental storytelling, and the map's designed just as well as some of the best roguelites out there. Not roguelite, sorry, Metrovanias out there. So, yeah, this style of game, Tim, is always a style of game that I never think about playing. I'm never excited to play a 2D Metroidvania, but then, like,
Mm.
without fail, every time I play a good one, I'm like, "Fuck, this is fucking sick!" And that went for
Yeah.
both of the Ori games. That went for Hollow Knight, and now that's going for this as well.
And did you ever play Shovel Knight? Shovel Knight was a really good one as well.
No, I didn't. I didn't play
Yeah,
Shovel
that
Knight.
was
No.
really fun. I enjoyed Shovel Knight. And there was another one as well. I played recently. Did you say Dead Cells?
No, I didn't say Dead Cells, but yep, that was a
Dead
great one.
Cells is
That was
another
more of a
one.
roguelike,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and Blasphemous is another good one. I enjoyed Blasphemous as well. Yeah,
Have
you
you played
never.
Blasphemous, have you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, you never quite expect them to hit, but they are good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you mean. They kind of sneak up on you, which is why I think I'm going to quite
they
enjoy
do.
Prince of Persia when I finally get around to that. I think that'll be a good game.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I impulse bought that game because it was like 50% off, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm enjoying Nine Souls." I always enjoy the genre. When people say they're good, usually they are good. They're
Yeah.
really good. And like, if anybody's been listening to the show, you'll know that Ori Will of the Wisps is literally one of my favorite games ever. It's probably like top 5, maybe top 10. Like so sensational. And Hollow Knight was the same. Like I came away from that like fucking yeah. I think like doing it in 2D allows them to be so tight with
Mm.
the game design that it can really sing, and the aesthetic as well. Like I don't because I they don't have to spend so much resources on trying to do fancy shit. They just have to like get a coherent. Like if you think about how someone draws concept art, and
Mm.
then trying to make that work in a 3D space, that can be quite difficult, I imagine. But just making the concept art and then just slapping that on the screen, basically, I feel like
Mm.
that is an easier transition. So what you can get as a result, from my view, is a much more like cohesive and alive aesthetic. And so I think that's very much the case in the Ori games, in Hollow Knight, and also in Nine Souls too.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Right, I don't think there's anything else to talk about there. So let's just move on to some of the more minor news for the week. So I firstly just wanted to shout out again, if you listen to the show, you'll know that we are Monster Hunter sickos. Fucking it's disgusting. Ask my wife to dress
Oh
up as a
yeah,
Velociraptor all the time. We're fucking disgusting
a
little cretins.
Velociraptor. That's not even a.
It's not even a Monster Hunter
You
monster,
mean
mate.
a
It's just a
fucking
dinosaur.
an iodrome, a gendrome,
Velocidrome, yeah, that's what I meant.
Velocidrome.
Yeah, a Congalala, yeah, that's right. Mm.
You're the Conga Lala, we all know it.
I'm not a gassy person, actually.
If you were a monster, what would you be? And don't just
Damn.
pick like a fucking Rajang or something, you little shit. Try and be good. I'm just trying to think. I think. Hmm.
Hmm. Damn. Is there not like a fucking quiz for this? BuzzFeed quiz.
Yeah, there probably is, to be fair. I'm just trying to
What
think of a
Monsanto?
monster that's like
Shall I ask Bing? Will Bing be able to tell me? Yo, Monster Hunter Rise Monster Personality Quiz. It's actually an official one on the
yo,
fucking.
our screen share.
Is this... this is what we're doing today, guys. Sorry. Oh, this isn't real. Oh, this
I
is.
think I'd be a Kirin, dude.
You think you'd be a Kieran? Yeah.
Actually, no, because I'm a bit of a long boy. I'm a fucking.
I think you'd be the like a can no Agnactor.
Oh wow, that's a bit of a beast mode. Yeah, I think I'd be
Yeah,
a
it's not quite Kieran.
fatalist. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. So there's another demo for that game going on like right now. I think it's a demo, isn't it, or is it a beta? I can't actually remember.
You're Shengao Ren because of your long limbs
Thanks, dude.
and small torso. You're Shengao Ren.
Old crusty crab.
Yeah,
This is a demo.
I've got it. I absolutely nailed it. You're Shengao Ren.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, okay, it's an open beta.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been I'm in two minds about playing this
I'm
game because
not.
we played the other demo quite a bit. We've played
No.
Monster Hunter All Our Lives. We know what Monster Hunter game is, and at this point, like I'm more just like wanting to savor the actual experience. I don't know. We went back and forth on this a bit, didn't we, in our chat?
Yeah, no, I'm the same as you. I think Caden, I think, said he was going to play it or has, or yeah, but then he's not around for like the initial release. He's
Bless him.
off places. So yeah, but no, I'm very much in the same camp as you, where I think I just want to experience it all as is. When it comes out and have it be a sort of surprise. Yeah, I love just going into the hunts for the first time and figuring out what the urgent quests are and being like, oh, what's that? Like from the fucking picture of it, and then you go and get your cutscene of it and all that. I don't really want all that sort of spoiled. I know there's only going to be a handful of those sort of monsters in the beta anyway. But I'm very much going in blind. Like the only monster I know is like there. Obviously they've confirmed like a couple, but and obviously the one that we fought in the beta, that like
Yeah.
bear thing. Um
Yes.
but I know they have confirmed quite a few like returning ones as well. There's some pretty pogger ones. So yeah.
Did you see the recent returning monster actually?
Yeah, wasn't it the Gore Magala, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
hype. I love the Gore
You
Magala.
like that guy, don't you? Yeah, I thought so.
And I wonder if they'll do because obviously he has one where he sheds his skin and becomes the Shagaru Magala, doesn't he? So I wonder if
Yeah.
they'll also have
Shagaru.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Yeah, Gore Magala is really cool. I like him.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty much committed at this point to being a bow boy. I wasn't sure if I was going to be, but actually they've made some pretty cool changes. So dead excited.
Mm.
I can't see if it wasn't such a big year for games I've been looking forward to, this would be like so easily heads and above. Like, I like my game of the year. I would already be saying game of the year. I mean, it's going
Yeah.
to be one of my favorite games of the year. I'm pretty much already expecting that, barring some catastrophe with the launch. But I just can't see how they fuck this up. To be honest, I
I
can't
mean,
see really
my
any way
only
that
concern is performance and
Yeah,
like network issues, like
yeah,
disbanding from parties or not being able to get in each other's lobbies and quests. Because like in World and stuff like that, if one of you disconnected, it just like disbanded the quest
yes,
and stuff, and it can really waste like 10-15 minutes to then go back and get it set up again and get to where you were. So like they could have some blunders for that, especially with how big the launch is going to be. But in terms of like the core game itself, yeah, I mean I think that's a bit of a slam dunk. It would just be interesting to see what performance is like because I think you have to have a pretty a pretty beefy PC to run this bad boy at minimum specs, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, hopefully it comes out and it's playable at 60 frames. But
maybe.
again, it wouldn't be a deal breaker, but I mean, Capcom tend to like have unlocked frame rate experiences. We'll see.
Mm.
Again, not deal breaker, but it would be the performance mode that they had in the beta was wank. It was real wank.
Yeah,
But
it
the
made
fact
it
that they got it
worse,
there,
didn't it?
yeah, the fact and it just made the image so soft where it's just like, oh god, like I don't know if I can. I don't know what's worse, like 30 frames or an inconsistent frame rate and a really soft image.
Because it almost
Um,
seemed fuzzy, didn't
yeah,
it? When you heard like things almost looked like pixelated, like it was
yeah,
like motion blur but constant. It was really really weird.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see what they do. I'm sure they put some time into optimization towards the end of the development cycle there. So we'll see. But yeah, nonetheless, like one of my only few criticisms that I would give to Monster Hunter World, which was otherwise like a 10 out of 10 game, was that the monster variety wasn't as good as most of the other games, to be honest.
Mm.
But we know that that's the case. Like, and it was plenty. Like, it was satisfactory, and then they added like loads more in the DLC.
Yeah,
Um,
Iceborne
okay,
dialed
it
it to
wasn't.
like 11. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad enough that it took away from the game. So to me, wasn't a big problem. It's just that coming from previous Monster Hunter games, they usually have like loads and loads and loads, and that's because all of the other previous games have been built really on the same engine. So like the skeletons they use for the monsters, they could just like port over and like make
Mm.
the process of making a new monster was much easier, or porting an old one in. Whereas Monster Hunter World was made on a new
Ground
engine, so
up.
they had to do
Yeah.
everything from scratch. Whereas now, because that's not the case, I hope that we have more like skeletons, which it doesn't. It seems like that is the
Mm.
case. Like there's brute wyverns, there's irregular wyverns, there's monkey, the
Monkey
Congolala,
monkey.
which is just brute, isn't it? And then
Yeah.
there seems to be a squid boy, and then there's some other sorts of skeletons.
I'd
So
like to see
spiders,
um yeah, I saw the spider. Yeah, that would be an interesting one to fight. We're gonna have to might turn arachnophobia on for that one. Um
yeah,
the I'd like to see the Legiacris come back. That would be so super cool. But
we all would.
I just feel like because it was only in the game with the underwater combat, they feel like maybe they can't. But I don't know. Like you can adapt its moveset. Um, but I get it for sure because remember the Cialis as well from
Yeah,
the like Elder Dragon. Like that one was like a completely underwater fight, so you definitely can't bring that one back. That'd be weird. But yeah, Legiacris would be pretty sick to come back.
definitely. I feel like they could just make fuck, what do they call it? A subtype. What are they? Is that what they call it?
Subspecies.
Subspecies. Yeah, just make a subspecies, make it like black or red or something, and be like, this is a land one. There we go, sorted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or just glaze over the fact that it's it doesn't need to be a lore reason. You could just be like, yeah, that game had underwater combat. This one doesn't, so it's just got a different moveset. Like it's fine.
Yes.
Shit's in the past. We tried something. It didn't really work. It gave everyone immense hand cramp and early
Yeah,
onset
yeah.
um arthritis. Yeah.
It does make you wonder like how that got past the drawing board, doesn't it? Like that was such a fucking insane
Well, that was when
thing to do.
Nintendo and like stuff like, well, I say Nintendo, but it was Monster Hunter. It was never really owned by Nintendo. But I felt like maybe it was just it had enough of a core audience where it didn't really matter if they were being, a bit experimental and stuff like that. Whereas now they've obviously captured such a larger audience. If they try something too experimental, it's a lot more detrimental than back then, where they could just be like, yeah, the few thousand that play this game probably won't mind. Uh, yeah, they make a blunder like that now and they're fucked.
Yeah, it's just such a mental thing to do.
Mm.
Um, okay, I don't know. Is there anything else for us to add about Monster Hunter Wilds? I'm trying to think, other than Bow Boys Rise Up.
Bow boys do not rise up. It's
Rise up, Bow
Hammer
Boys.
Bros or Greatsword Bros or
Don't
Lightbow
take anything.
Gunbros. I mean, Like I
Man, it's
said,
a lot of bros.
I think I'm literally just gonna like random number generator my weapon on the day. I'm too indecisive. I can't do it.
Did you not see my suggestion for how I could help you?
Well, how many shits I take in a
Decide.
day and then assign a number. Well, it would be dual swords at 30, wouldn't
Everybody knows.
it? It's a shoe in.
Oh man, great. Well, that's super exciting. That's coming out at the end of the month. For those that don't know, I want to say it's Feb the 28th. That's what I
You'd
want
be
to say.
correct.
I wonder what the internet says. Yeah, I would be correct, would I?
Yeah.
I love it when I'm correct. I'm definitely not still googling it.
And that
just
would
to
be
check.
like
February the 20th.
yeah, that'll be like a midnight launch, I assume, right? I don't know how these things work anymore. I'm always so confused. Not many games do midnight launches anymore, do they?
No, basically, if they're doing a global launch, then that means they're launching at the same time across the world, which must
Yeah.
mean that it's in different time zones in every country because it's at the same time rather than releasing at different times in each
Yeah.
country. So if it's a global launch, you won't be able to do a midnight launch. It'll just come out in your country, like when that time is.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously I think I'm going to take off Thursday, and maybe play it Thursday like morning, early morning. But yeah, definitely through Friday,
Make your
Saturday,
character.
Sunday. I've already told Tilly I'm literally just going to be non-existent. I'll just need plates slid under the door with food and that sort of
Bit
thing. So
sustenance.
yeah, she's very aware. She's weirdly kind of excited though, because she's just like, I always hear you talk about Monster
Leave me
Hunter,
alone.
but she hasn't been with me for like a Monster Hunter like proper release before. So it's like
Yeah.
it's this weird like buzz about it where she's like, what's gonna happen to you?
What might
Like,
happen? Yeah.
yeah, what is this creature you claim to turn into?
She's like, Tim, the door comes flying off the hinges, and it's like, you're like wearing this massive armor, got a massive greatsword.
Yeah, it's coming like spinning like I do with that hammer move.
Yeah, gust of wind, and you're in the kitchen. She's like, Tim, what are you doing in there? And you're just sitting down with a rotisserie with a bit of meat.
Dress up my cat as a Grimolkin.
Yeah, a Grimolkin or a what's the pig called?
Pookie.
Pookie. Yeah, dress him up as Pookie.
Yeah, could be kind of cute.
Man, what a time to be alive!
Mm-hmm.
What a time to be alive. Monster Hunter Wild's coming out. Game of the year. Do you think Monster Hunter Wilds will be a Game of the Year contender
Oh yeah,
at the Keeleys? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it'll be a contender. Like I said, unless it has like huge technical blunders, which can happen. Happened to Microsoft Flight Sim, and that game was goated, but it got shit reviews out of the gate. So it can happen.
Yeah. Can happen.
But yeah, I would bet quite a substantial amount of my wealth into this being a contender, one of the 6 or one of the 5 that's there at the end of the year. Pardon me.
Busy year, dude. Busy year. And I mean, that leads us very nicely onto our second mini topic for the day, which is speaking of Game of the Year contenders, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has come out. Guess who put it on his fantasy critic?
You did. This guy. Yeah, you kind of popped off with that. Those I never understand these games. They're in such a weird space of gaming that I have never occupied, I never watch, and I never hear anything about. But then people love them. I just don't. It's so strange to me.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that just got really good word of mouth. Because I even went back and
yeah, it didn't
like
pop
in the
off
build
the
up
first
to this
one, did it?
game. Yeah, in the build up to this game, I started hearing about it more and more, seeing it on my YouTube feed. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? So I went and watched a couple of videos, and everyone was basically like, just totally gushing about the first one. And then whenever I watch the gameplay of it, I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, I don't even really understand what's going on here. Like, it looks a bit like janky and confusing. In the same way, I think most first-person games do, until you play them, and then you're like, oh no, this is actually quite immersive and quite fun. But it's just when you're watching them, you're like, oh, because usually they're designed in a way that it's like it has to be understandable and non-confusing for the player. So when you're in it, it feels fine. You're in a state of flow. But when you're watching it, you're like, why is everyone just looking at you and they're attacking you one person at a time? And like, why is it
Yeah.
so slow? But when you're playing it, you're like, oh, this is methodical.
He's done it again. He's too handsy, man. He's too handsy with his gestures. He's knocked out his internet cable. Oh, I love it. Oh, there's two of me as well. Oh, oh, oh! It's having a good time.
Fuck you know.
Did you
Every
see?
time.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Well, I
cute.
can just see you, but I can imagine what two of you looks like.
No, I was doing like a wave, and it was like going to the other Tim. It was great. I can't wait to watch that back.
I'm gonna watch it right now.
Yeah, every time. I knew.
Look at you go. You're having a great time, aren't you?
I knew it was
Oh,
coming
man.
in the back of my head. I saw you doing this, like eating, and I was like, he's gonna knock out his fucking internet cable. I know it. He is.
It's not my internet cable. It's the fucking adapter on the Mac, and it's so, man, it's
Yeah, we'll
just not
just get
it, dude.
fucking. I don't know. Just
Look,
duct tape it in. No, you're gonna knock it out
oh,
again
shit. Hang on, there's that. You see?
with the white one at the top. Oh no. Oh, okay. I
No,
see what you mean.
it's this
Yeah,
extender. Yeah.
the whole thing. I don't
So
get
I touch
ones
any
like
of these
that.
cables, and it's over.
I don't get ones like that. I just get ones that just like are like a rectangle brick, but they also just have a cable going out and in. It doesn't just like attach onto the back.
Yeah, I should definitely do that. I should just, because there's just so much hassle this getting this shit to stay in.
Yeah. They gotta have a spare one. Actually,
Anyway.
no, but it won't have as many ports. It's what you need. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, mine needs to have 4 ports, and it needs to have all of them. Anyway, I can't remember what I was saying. What was I saying? I was watching Kingdom Come Deliverance one
Yeah.
gameplay and being a bit confused, but everybody always raved about it, and I get that because obviously we're looking forward to like Avowed coming out, and I felt like largely the same way. Like I think this is going to be fun to play. It looks like a bit clunky here and there. Obviously, as time's gone on, I think Avowed has improved a lot in terms of how it looks to play. But I think largely these games shine when you play them rather than when you watch them. When we're talking about a melee first-person combat.
Definitely.
So, I even went back and looked at like the Open Critic scores, and it scored like low 70s. I'm like, why is everyone so excited about this? And it turns out it mostly got low reviews because it was really buggy. A launch, like that was the big thing. Yeah, 72, the first one got 48% of critics recommend. You know, not like super great stuff, but yeah, it turns out most of those low scores were because it was really buggy. And then word of mouth kind of spread that actually it's a really good game at its core. So once those bugs got kind of ironed out, there was a really good game left behind. So yeah, everybody has kind of got really excited. And from what I can see, you know, they've kind of nailed it for their audience here. I think this will, well, I was about to say, Tim, I think this will end up being a really niche game. But I mean, I saw that it was on like 170,000 concurrent on Steam.
Oh,
So,
really? Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. That's really good. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm glad that they you know, they've had such a successful launch. I mean, it's not like the first one was not successful, but in terms of a launch, it must be quite nice to get that monkey off their back a little bit and actually just have like a clean launch and know that they've like, you know, because you must get that sort of sense of fulfillment that you kind of, you know, you're better than when you made that first one, and the mistake you learn from your mistakes essentially. So yeah, no, kudos to them, and kudos to you for picking it, because it's like 89, I think it settled at. I think
89 right now. Yeah.
it's probably, is that the highest reviewed game of the year?
I think there have been some like indie games that have like cracked into the 90, but I'd have to double check.
Because indie got like 86 or something, didn't it?
Yeah, but also that released last year.
Oh yeah, that was it right at the end of December. Yeah, I always think it was a 2025 release.
I know, right? I mean, it should have been. And it is technically for one platform. Citizen Sleeper 2 that came out at 86. That's
Isn't that on
probably,
Games Pass now?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. It's got
Everybody
really
raves about
interesting-
the first one and the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like a really interesting like thumbnail, like a cover art. It looks really interesting. It kind of reminds me of that like Bungie game we saw, the runner one. What was it called? The
What,
one they're
Marathon?
making. Yeah, Marathon. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of that with that like
Sure.
synthetic kind of robot dude on the front and the
Hmm.
colors pop in and stuff like that. It kind of reminded me of that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because I'm the same. I'm like I've had the first one on my playlist for ages because it's looks like a really good cloud game. And when I was reading through trying to understand what it is, somebody pitched it to me as space, no, yeah, space cyberpunk Disco Elysium. I was like,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
I'll have to give that a go at some point. Um,
Mm.
yeah, they're both on Game Pass right now, which is obviously great get for Game Pass. Um,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else there about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So this is the only other thing as we kind of segue into our third sort of a smaller story for today. Is that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Avowed Starfield flashbacks.
Okay. Well, you think one's going to be a Baldur's Gate 3 and one's going to be a Starfield?
Well, just in the
Like,
sense
kind
that
of flop.
like
What do you mean?
I think fairly or unfairly, Starfield releasing like a month after Baldur's Gate 3 gave a lot of people who played it like
Oh, I see what you
a
mean.
worse impression because Baldur's Gate 3 was, I mean, I haven't played it, but people, really revered the way it did its RPG systems.
Mm,
Um, and it felt like, this like quite big step forward in terms of how games are made, in terms of RPGs, even though it's a, you know, top down sort of classic RPG.
mm-hmm,
And people, by contrast, largely felt that Starfield did feel a bit outdated in some of those areas, and I think that
mm,
made that chasm seem so much bigger. Whereas, like, if Baldur's Gate 3 hadn't released, would the conversation even be slightly impacted around Starfield? I mean, I would say, yeah, I would say the conversation would be a bit
okay.
less negative or a bit less controversial. Not to say that those blemishes weren't there on Starfield, they were, but it pronounced them. Like I saw it
So
come
you're an
up in several
advocate.
reviews.
You're an advocate believer that say that Baldur's Gate didn't release at that time. You think Starfield could have been bumped up a few extra points.
I do, yeah, yeah, I think that's feasible.
Okay,
And
that's interesting. I feel like a lot of the
I think
comparisons just came from its Starfield's predecessors and the fact that it didn't evolve too much from them. Like, sure, like it adapted its gameplay a little bit and it made that like a lot smoother and nicer, but in terms of like quest design and like dialogue and stuff like that, and even to an extent facial animations, which were better, but they still did not like,
no, they're
they're
dated.
still not it. I feel like a lot of it just came from, yeah, just it not jumping leaps and bounds from its previous games that everyone loves rather than Baldur's Gate 3. But I think there is an element of what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, well, not in the right areas, you could argue, right? I think I guess the area of pushing the envelope for Starfield was like procedural generation of the planets,
Yeah, the
game big,
planets, yeah.
space flight, like those are the things. But I think a lot of people
Game
felt
big but
like,
fake big.
yeah, a lot of people felt like, okay, fine, that's kind of cool, I guess, but like the reason I'm here is for your, like your RPG storytelling, your RPG
Crafted
systems,
storytelling.
your choice
Yeah.
and consequence, like all of that stuff, which I think people felt was like still good, but it just like it wasn't a step forward in the way that they were hoping it was, like the Baldur's Gate 3 was. Um,
Mm.
so part of me is now worried seeing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Fuck, that's hard to say fast, man. Jesus.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Yeah, it's quite hard to say. I'm stumbling on the come part.
Yeah. Um, it's scoring at 89 is making me be like, oh, I wonder if we're going to see that in any reviews where like Avowed's combat is okay, but it's not much better than Morrowind or The Outer Worlds, whereas Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 really stepped it up in the first part, for combat and RPG department, and it's not just the combat that people are
Yeah.
praising. You have to be a very good rounded game to get a score that high, like in the story department, the RPG department, the progression. And my understanding
Mm.
is that these are very hardcore RPG games. Like you start out, you can do fucking nothing, really, until you start
Mm.
like turning the wheels and getting points into things. Um, so it does worry me a little bit that that comparison might come up. And in actual fact, I'd put money on that happening. with like at least
Yeah,
one.
I think they might naturally get compared a little bit, just in the sense they're both first person. You can hold a sword games, but um,
Yeah.
like I do think that Avowed looks really clean though. Like I think Avowed looks very, very good. Every time I see it, like I get more and more confident in that product. And I at one point I flip flopped on this so hard, like the score. I've been putting it in the 70s, I've been putting it in the mid 80s, but I would quite confidently say this it's gonna break low to mid 80s Avowed from what I've seen. I think it looks really clean. I think it's a great looking game. I think the storytelling looks great. I think the exploration looks great. Combat, the mix between like the spells and the melee and switching on the fly, I think is going to make a game like that seem, because they can seem quite dated, quite slow, quite sluggish. I think that's going to do a good job at like making it feel pacier and snappier and stuff like that as well. Um, I'm pretty confident that this game will do pretty well, but I don't think it's going to get hit too hard from Kingdom Come, Deliverance 2. I think it will. I don't think it's going to get as high. I don't think it's not going to contend with the 89s or anything, but
Mm.
um, I think it will be there with it for sure.
Mm. I mean, I hope so. I think maybe you're right. Maybe there is enough there that it really does stand. As a fantasy RPG, which it obviously is. But like, there's enough in the gameplay and storytelling department that really makes it sing as a fantasy RPG, as to avoid some of the comparisons
Mm,
to Kingdom Come, because I think that was part of the problem with Starfield and Baldur's Gate, is that even though Starfield was sci-fi, it's sci-fi fantasy. It's sci-fi fantasy, and then Baldur's Gate is fantasy. So I don't know. I think there's overlapping, like not just game mechanics, but also like um, thematically as well.
mm,
Obviously not in how they looked, but just like the tone of story, I suppose.
mm,
So we'll see. I mean, but I guess that brings us on to our third mini story, which is of course, yes, Avowed coming out next week for early access. Reviews have been in reviewers' hands for like a week now. They gave them like 2 weeks run up for this, and I'm even seeing Tim. Avowed is getting advertised on billboards in New York, in
wow,
Belgium. Yeah, big.
that's,
See
yeah, that's a
Xbox do
big
that
deal.
sort of shit. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah, they normally save that sort of stuff for their flagships, just like their gears and their halos, and they still don't even market the shit out of those sometimes. So yeah, it's kind of different to see that for Avowed for sure.
definitely. So, I know there's been so I guess the biggest piece of news that we've had, because there's been like bits and bobs of like new gameplay and new screenshots come out. Carrie Patel went on the MinMax show, which I didn't know about, but they did like a quick fire 120 questions, with Carrie Patel,
Mm,
the game director, and they confirmed, they spoke about a bunch of things. It's a really fun little like interview. I definitely recommend you go and watch it. But there they confirmed that on the Xbox Series X we can get up to 60 frames. Way
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, such good news.
prayer circle worked. Yeah.
It did. Yeah, that's hype.
And I say it wouldn't have been a deal breaker for me as long as it like felt fine and stable. But I would like the choice. I'd like to kind of make that decision by myself, especially for like kind of a first person. Like it seems like it's fairly quick. Like it's not slow. Um,
Mm,
you know. So I'm glad they've had the extra time to get that in. Yeah, that's really good.
for sure. For sure.
What's your impression been of like the conversation around Avowed? Because obviously it's been a bit of a roller coaster, hasn't it, in terms of like the reputation of this game since it was revealed back in 2020 with that really like grim dark tone, and then that's like shifted a little
Yeah.
bit. What's
Yeah.
been your like impression of that, of how that conversation's been going?
I think from like my impression is like yeah, like the outside looking in. I would say it started off really hot with its reveal, and everyone was super hyped. And I think it took a pretty hard dip when it was first sort of shown off and what it would actually sort of look like. Um, like the screenshots they released and stuff like that. I think it took a pretty hard dip around there, and some people were, were not very hyped for it. But then I feel like in the last, I don't really know. I'm just trying to think. I'd say in the last like 6 months, maybe 5, 6 months, where they started to get out like previews and people could actually play it and stuff like that. I feel like the game is actually. I feel like that did it like a world of good. I feel like the word of mouth around this game, since people have actually got their hands on it, and they've shown more and more gameplay of it. I think it's just gotten better and better. I think it's only been on the rise from that dip it took after the initial reveal. It like in my opinion. I can't really. Whenever I search Avowed, and I did today, funnily enough, because I was showing my dad it, because I was like, "Oh, Dad, this game's got you written all over it. You love Skyrim and stuff like that." And he's currently playing indie, but he'll
Oh
be
yeah, how's he
finished with
liking
it.
it?
Yeah, he's liking it a lot actually. Yeah, he had this really weird issue though
That's
because
fun.
he's playing it on his new gaming. He's got a new gaming PC rig.
Yeah.
He spent quite a lot of money on it. And he had this like save file corruption issue where the game just wouldn't boot for him and it wouldn't load his file. So he thought he lost like all the progress he made. And he got up to like the jungle bit, where you get the breather and stuff like that. So you got relatively
Yes.
far. But recently he fixed that. He trolled through Reddit and he sorted it out and he's back in it and he's actually playing it now, I think, at home. Yeah, he said he's having a really good time with it. He did say he feels like it's getting a bit samey with the fact that he just keeps smacking Nazis over the head with shovels. But I also think my dad's just too scared to take like actual gunfights and stuff like that. He'll just like always sneak up, and if he doesn't get it, he'll load the save and then try and sneak again.
Yeah.
Because when shit hits the
Look
fan,
at
he's
Nazi.
just
Go on, throw a rock at him.
yeah, exactly. He's not good enough to do that because when shit hits the fan, he's just like press X, looks down at his controller. He's one of those sort of gamers. So, but yeah, no, he's having a really good time with it, and he said it literally is like he's playing an indie movie, which is great to hear as someone who grew up with indie and he loves it. But yeah, so I searched it and showed him Avowed, and yeah, he said he's gonna play that and get it on download. Because I said it was Games Pass as well, and he was just like, nice.
Xbox really popping up with the boomers part, really getting
Yeah,
those
they really
60-year-olds
are.
in.
Yeah, if you're grabbing Martin, you're doing work. So
Get him on the podcast, mate. Get him in here.
Special guest, Tim's dad. No, well, I'll quit the podcast before I do that. No offense, Dad, if you're listening. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so I searched Avowed because I was showing him some gameplay, and yeah, like every single video I saw for the last like 6 months was just like, I'm so impressed. Avowed looks great. Avowed is awesome. Avowed this. I played Avowed and I was pleasantly surprised. You guys should do Avowed. Not a single negative thing I saw, even going 5, 6 months back. Which I find quite interesting, especially where like negative gets the clicks as well, and I wasn't even fed any negative videos, so yeah.
And is that ignoring all of the woke, like the fucking racists, like the woke warriors.
The
racist? Yeah, the racist dude. Like, are you not? Is that not? You're just not dialed into that conversation. Like,
I guess not. It didn't pop up on like my feed while I was searching it and finding all the videos. No,
honestly, that's
find
great.
Avowed racist, do they?
Yes. Well, oh my god, dude. Okay, brief recap. So Matt Hansen, who's the guy with this really big mustache, like made this offhand. No, what did he do? He made this offhand like Twitter post because he was being harassed, where he was like, by the way, if there's any minorities or black artists who want me to check their portfolio, or just like have a look at your work, you'll have my priority. Like,
but he addressed them as minorities. It's a bit strange.
Well, he just said, I don't know, I can't remember the exact word. Maybe he didn't. But I mean, no, that's really a problem. He's basically just saying, I know you're disadvantaged artists. So if you want me to have a look at your portfolio,
he means it in a good way. Yeah,
I'll do it as a courtesy. I'll do it as a nice thing. And what I'm saying, I think maybe you've got the wrong end of the stick. What people have then said, Elon Musk personally attacked Matt Hansen by saying, "You are systematically being racist to white people. You are systematically trying
Oh,
to replace us with black people by offering, offering them jobs, offering black people jobs over white people." And it's literally not what he said. He literally said he's going to review your portfolio
yeah,
if you're a disadvantaged artist, which you are. But some people are just like, just can't get their head around this fact that slavery was only 150 years ago. Of course, there's a wealth gap. Of course, there's a housing gap. And of course, there's an education gap. So, yes,
yeah.
like there are people who are going to be disadvantaged. And actually, doing a nice thing for someone who's disadvantaged isn't
Isn't
racist. It's
racist.
actually
It's
quite
not.
nice. It's actually just quite a nice thing to do. So, to me, if
Yeah.
you're a subscriber to the fucking idiotic idea that there's a great replacement going on, where people there's like this secret cabal trying to replace white people with black people. If you're not a fucking idiot, then most people would
Mm.
view that and think, nice guy.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of people think that that is the woke mob trying to replace white people with black people. So
No,
that's
he's just giving them
LDR.
a chance they might have not otherwise had. When he reviews that work, it might be worse than the white guy is lined up for the job, so he's still going to give the job to the white guy. Like, it doesn't. He's just like, yeah, giving a chance that might not have otherwise been had. That's all. He's not guaranteeing it.
Imagine, yeah,
Yeah,
imagine if you saw someone in a wheelchair, Tim, and you were like, "Do you need a hand?" And then someone comes up to you like, "You didn't offer me a hand. You didn't offer me a hand." Like,
yeah,
like,
yeah. It's
oh,
ridiculous.
come the
Yeah,
fuck on, like, get over yourself, get a grip.
yeah.
Anyway, so that's Avowed. I'm with you. Like, since the previews, especially like whenever that was, like 3 or 4 months ago now, I
I
feel
think
like the
it's longer.
conversation really
It's
picked
about
up
5 months now.
around the game. Yeah. I feel like the conversation really picked up around them because they're really positive, and it's especially nice seeing such a positive preview from Skill Up as well, which is like I
Yeah,
feel like his videos often are a good reflection of the sort of the core gaming audience.
yeah.
Um, so I think that a lot of the core gaming audience is going to see that and be like, oh, well, maybe Avowed is actually going to be quite good because I think before that there was just a lot of uncertainty. But I thought the
Mm,
first showing was quite good, but I think I was in the minority there. I think it was quite controversial, wasn't it? Like going back to the
mm,
developer direct in 2022, maybe. Um, I think it's quite controversial. I know we quite liked it at the time, but so again, even then, people saw the gameplay and they were like, "Oh, it looks really jank. Enemies aren't reacting." Oh, a lot of that seems to be
mm,
kind of I think those fears have been put aside a little bit. So it's just sort of let the game speak for itself now, really.
mm. Yeah, let it cook. Yeah. I mean, what's your if you were to? Yeah, I mean, obviously you described like the feel of the game and how you feel like the journey it's been, and yeah, I think we're both on the same page where I think it's only gotten positive in the last like 4 or 5 months. Where do you think this sits when it releases?
The thing is, Tim. The thing is, Tim.
I'm
I don't want to
waiting.
answer that question.
I mean, I'm not saying in terms of
I
popularity because I
cannot
don't think the
redfall
game's going to pop
myself again.
off. Oh, okay. All right, that's fair enough. Yeah, that was rough. Yeah, I'm gonna get another 3 a.m. message from you. It's not looking good,
It's not.
Tim. I don't like this. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think it's going to pop off in terms of popularity. If I'm honest,
No,
I think it's releasing
I don't
with
need to.
it with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's releasing with Monster Hunter Wilds, which a lot of people are probably just quite happy to spend their £70 on and call it. Um, and yeah, I just don't think it's going to pop off like commercially, but I think it will review pretty solidly. I think my prediction is a 84.
Mm,
I'm going for an 84.
really?
Mm. I think it looks clean, man. I was even watching like the most up to date like footage that was shown of it not that long ago, and it just everything about it just looks very very polished. I really feel like they've taken their time with it, and they've gotten more time and an extended window to get it to the place it needs to be. I think this is a game they could have got out earlier, and they decided not to internally. So
Definitely. Well, I'm looking at the Outer Worlds that scored an 83 back in the day. You could argue the Outer Worlds had a bit of the opposite effect that Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 had, what I was talking about there, where the Outer Worlds launched just after Fallout 76 got announced or came
Yeah.
out, I think. And that,
Fallout
came out in the
76 was
50s or something.
Garbo.
Exactly. And so I think Outer Worlds came out and a lot of people were like, oh, this is more like what we wanted from like a Fallout game. And so I think,
Yeah.
that the game got treated quite favorably as a result, just right time. But no, but I mean, I loved Outer Worlds. I know the conversation has soured a bit on Outer Worlds, but I would still call that a 9 out of 10 game. I loved that game. I really liked Outer Worlds. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, man. I think Avowed is like an 8 minimum. I think we're looking at 80 minimum because it's come together really well by the looks of it. And Obsidian are just really good. But I'm like, I am a bit raising my eyebrow at like some of those dickheads out there who like don't like this is going to be in Game Pass. Don't like this is not coming to PlayStation on day one. You know,
Mm.
um, don't like there are going to be some closet like trumpers out there who are going to be like giving the game a 4 because this one artist offered their courtesy to black artists. There's going to be,
Mm.
I don't know, like I'm just a bit sus of like all it takes, as we've seen with these things, all it takes is like 3 or 4 scores that are like a 6, and that makes it pretty hard to get a high score actually.
Mm.
So,
True.
but we'll see.
True.
We'll see. I do think it gets an 8 minimum. I would really like for it to be Obsidian's best yet. I'm not sure it will like outdo something like Pillars of Eternity. I don't know if they how did they do? Yeah, first Pillars of Eternity was an 89. So I don't know if it gets that high, but it's the same universe. And I do think it actually, and this was in my beginning of the year predictions, I do think this will be Obsidian's biggest commercial game. Yeah, their biggest
Mm.
commercial success. It still won't be,
Probably.
they
Yeah.
don't tend to make big hits in that regard, but I think this will be the biggest one. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably agree with that. Yeah.
especially being on Game Pass and everything.
Mm.
But overall, super excited. I'm super buzzed about Valorant. I mean, I love games of this genre. I love first person RPGs. I really do. And actually, it's been something which has made me been keeping my eye on Kingdom Come Deliverance as well. I almost bought it the other week because it was 50% off, and I just thought, oh, maybe I'll just wait for the second one to like dip in price, a couple of years down the line. But I love this genre. I really do. So I'm super excited for it. Really ready to just get my teeth sunk into that world. And then there's a couple of great primer videos on YouTube, which I'd really recommend everybody go and watch on Obsidian's channel. They just
Mm.
put one out about the gods in that world, which play such like an integral role in Aora in that world, which is such a like a nerdy little world, which is what like Obsidian are so good at. Which is I think one of the things that makes the idea of this such a fun and interesting one. Did you get a chance to watch that at all?
I didn't. No. But yeah,
Would
it's
definitely
it's
recommend.
on my to watch list. Yeah. For sure. High praise from Deck puts it on the wash list. Watch list.
Put it on the watch list. It's just like it gives like mythology, pantheon energy, and then it also gives kind of Lovecraftian kind of energy. Like it's like like
Mm.
the premise of the whole Pillars of Eternity world in Aora is that like everyone's soul gets reincarnated. Did you know
Yes.
that or not?
Yeah.
You knew that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like a tree in the middle, or like a well, like a soul well that like reincarnates everyone every time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's referred to as the wheel. And I don't know enough about it if it's like a physical object or if that's just like what the concept is described as. But yeah, you get reincarnated into something based on your how good of a person you were in the last life. Um and so there's like, lots of different beliefs and thoughts about what gods govern that and like what gods you should pray to because there's like 11 gods and they're all, occupy different areas and um
Mm.
yeah, I think that premise stands to make it a really interesting fantasy world to be in. So I'm really excited to like because I haven't really stepped foot into like a new fantasy world in a while.
No.
Like just like it. So I'm really into that.
Hype. Yeah.
And it
Me too.
It's also been one of those things, Tim. I don't know if you get this, where like because we've been doing this for a while now, we've been following the Xbox games for a while now, and back in 2020, Xbox revealed all of these fucking games. Man, it's been 5 years since it got announced. That it's
It's
like
finally
it's
happening.
almost like kind of yeah, it's almost like kind of surreal. That it's like, oh my god, we're finally here. Like, God, I hope I haven't wasted
Yeah.
my time following this game
It
for
was
so
like it was
long.
like
Like,
one of the like cursed 5 games, wasn't it? They got like
yeah, it
announced and
was.
was never released. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good to know that they maybe there's hope for the other 4 cursed games.
Yeah. Never Wild, where are you?
State of Decay 3, decaying over there.
Just.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Well, that's next week. As I say, I think the reviews drop like at showtime, but I might be wrong. It might come out earlier in the day. So I guess we've already made our open critic predictions. But like, if you're going to put a gun to my head and tell me to give you a number, I'd say 81. 81 would be my number.
8-4. I'll take cash. No, actually, I want bank transfer from all of
Okay,
you.
fine. Although you nailed,
Everyone that
you
watches
nailed,
this.
you nailed indie though, didn't you? You got that. You got that dead on.
Yes, I did. Yeah, yeah, I smashed
Yeah.
indie. Yeah. Weird thing
All
to
right.
say.
Let's move on to some of the bigger stories as we go through today. So, Tim, this is old news. I don't know if you saw it, but PlayStation cancelled 2 more service games the other week. I think this happened like the day of the direct or the day after the direct. So,
Yeah.
it is old news now. But like, it was a service game, God of War, made by Bluepoint. Bearing in mind, Bluepoint is the remake studio who remade Demon Souls.
Yeah.
They were put on a live service God of War game. And then an unknown service game from Sony Bend, who are the guys who made Days Gone. We don't know what the service game was, but it was another service game. Both cancelled. What are your thoughts?
Concord. Concord did this.
Concord.
Um.
Yeah.
Uh. But yeah, I mean, we have talked about this, I think, off air. And I basically had the sentiment of I guess it's probably smart from the blunders they've had, right? But at the same time, you gotta kind of take a shot every now and again. But I think a lot of these sound quite interesting. Like um, I feel like a service God of War game. I wouldn't know what the fuck it would look like, but I feel like it could have been quite interesting, and I feel like it gives a little bit more like creativity to a lot of these studios, which I feel like obviously I can't speak for them, but I feel like probably a number of Sony studios probably feel like they can embrace a little bit more creativity and go outside the box a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a shame to see, I guess. But probably a smart business decision. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause
that's the thing,
there's a
isn't
lot
it?
of
It
weight
probably is.
with the names, isn't there? Like if you fuck up a God of War service game, there is a lot of weight behind that name and a lot of pre- prestige there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's what kind of makes it a catch-22, isn't it? A little bit. It's like, let's leverage RIP to get this into the market, like to give it some automatic market like permeation. But also, if we fuck up, like if we concorded one of these games,
Mm,
man.
that's rough. Yeah.
And like Concord wasn't even bad. Like that's kind of the consensus, that it was just like kind of okay, if a bit unexciting, but it was like perfectly competent, and even that wasn't enough. So if you did that with the God of War IP, like would that really change the world? Like would that really, because like Concord, like 700 players, man, like oh my god, like
They're so bad. It's so rough, dude. I still can't get over that. I still can't believe that happened. I feel like it's like a
no.
dream.
Well, no, because yeah, everyone
Um,
stopped talking about it. Actually, it was kind of quite magical and quite like amazing how quickly that just flew into the wind and nobody spoke about
yeah,
that.
they're
Still speaking about Redfall though.
they're what, like 500 million potential toilet flush of cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was rough, and they're taking it off the market and refunding and saying it was going to come back to then just axe it, which I called. I knew it wasn't coming back. Yeah, it's
Crazy.
oof. Yeah, it's rough. But yeah, I mean, all of this is a ripple effect from Concord, and Concord will continue to ripple in PlayStation for years to come. Like that
Yeah.
game will be forever brought up in board meetings whenever ideas like this are pitched. It's a constant stain on Sony. A game that launches that bad. stays with you. So
I guess there's a couple of angles here, I suppose, because I don't know if we've seen another publisher have such a influx of cancellations. Like this is like the seventh one or something, in the last few years.
mm,
Um and like as much as we're saying, and we're probably all on the same page, like probably the right move long term, probably maybe, but like what are we doing short term? Like are Sony
mm,
Santa Monica gonna put out a game this like are they not gonna put out a game till like next generation? They've
mm,
so they put out Ragnarok. Obviously, I'm trying to think that there's another one of their teams, Sony Bend. That'll be in it. So they made Days Gone, in like what halfway through the PS4 gen, and then they're actually not going to make a game for the PS5 gen, and they're just like, what the fuck? That's like 13 years. Like, what are we doing? Like,
mm,
how that's just like mental. Like, Blue Point made Demon Souls remake at the beginning of the PS5 gen.
mm.
I don't have they done anything else? I think before that they did The Last Guardian. I might be misremembering. I'm not sure. But does that mean that? I mean, they're not going to have a game out for the end of the PS5 gen. So again, like there's such a huge amount of time between these games with the cancellations. So like, my question is like, what is the short term play for PlayStation? Are they going to have just a dry spell at the end of the PS5? And if that is the case, are they going to get the shit kicked out of them like Xbox One did in the back half of their generation? You know,
Yeah.
because it's not like they've had this massive amount of like first party output in the last few years. And if in actual fact it's been quality over quantity, fine to say, but the quantity has still been quite
Dismal.
small.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, last year it was what was it?
Spidey.
20, 2024. Spider was what was it? What was even did they even have a first party release last year?
Yeah,
Am I
Spider-Man
losing
2
my mind?
was 2024,
Astropod.
wasn't it?
No,
Was that
2023.
2023? Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Astropod.
Astro. Yeah.
And then of
Oh, they
course
have
they
Ghost of Tsushima, this Ghost of Yotai or whatever the hell it's
yeah,
called. That's coming out
got
this
that this
year.
year. Mhm.
So that'll
And
be
Death Stranding.
that'll be the big hit for the end of the PS5 generation, those two.
And a Ghost of I'm like willing to put my money on the table now in the same way that I put my money on the table with like Spider-Man and Astrobot. That game is going to get 90 no matter what. 90 open critic. Like no
Mm.
matter what, that game is getting 90 open critic.
Yeah, that'll be a game of the year contender for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Um so yeah, I guess like that's because I guess like part of the reason PlayStation got so much momentum is because they released so many high quality games. Like, it was like they earned the amount of momentum they got because they released a lot of very high quality games. Like, and that's really hard to do, and they release them frequently. But now they're at the stage where it's like the quality is still high, and they're known for that, and they've earned that. But like, the train is really slowing down now. You know, uh,
Mm.
I mean, if this was Xbox and we were looking at like just like last year, like just Astrobot as the because that's like a double A size game, I guess maybe that would be like if Xbox just released Hellblade that year, right?
Mm.
And Xbox
Yeah.
was already getting quite a lot of criticism last year for having Hellblade in the middle of the year, and then at the end we obviously got like Flight Sim and then Indie and then some other timed exclusives. And maybe that's the solution. Maybe PlayStation are just going to lean into more third-party exclusives to prop it up. Because of course last year they had Final Fantasy Lockdown as
Mm.
a third-party
True.
exclusive.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I feel like they weirdly dodge the bullet every time, don't they? By just putting out that one big game that kind of just gets them out, like just gets them out of jail free and just buys them a little bit more time. But yeah, when you actually like kind of look at the records, you realize that it really has been a very, very slow drip feed of games coming out of them. Like and I think that like Yotai or Death Stranding or whatever, if Death Stranding even comes out this year, I'm not convinced. Um, like those will again just pull the conversation away because that one release will just be a game of the year contender, and then people will be like, "Yeah, PlayStation smashed it." what a gen. What a fantastic couple of years, where I feel like
Yeah.
everyone else, Nintendo included to an extent, have to pump out a lot more games to be like looked at positively in like the
Yeah.
in the media for sure. Yeah, I don't get what it is. There's this weird aura around PlayStation where they kind of just get away with it. I don't know.
Mm. I think and I guess I've seen some of that as well in some of the commentary, like not just from like just random comments, but also from like people in the industry and like articles of like, this is why PlayStation canceling these games is a smart play, and it's like it's fucking nuts. Like the cat, stop the cap, Jesus Christ. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay to just say, man, this is a bummer. Like just say that. Just say, oh, it's a bummer. Maybe it's the long term. Maybe it will help in the long term. But like, this is a bit of a bummer. Like, and I think that's what kind of you said. Like, would you not like to even see what one of these games would have looked like? Like, I just think that's kind of sad.
Mm,
I think it's kind of sad that they're not even like the way people talk about PlayStation Studios is that they're like this shining beacon of game design. It's like, okay, fuck yeah, let's get them. Let's try their hand at a service game. A service game isn't
mm,
it that a service game can bring so many interesting things. Like, what would the next step in a service game look like? If we're talking about pushing genres forward, like, what's next beyond Fortnite, whatever the fuck Fortnite is at this point. Like, I kind of wanted to see that a little bit. So, on one hand,
mm,
like, I think it's kind of sad that we're just like constantly enshrining single player games and like just because you're not the target audience, like, I don't know, like maybe the next one would have been for you, maybe the next service game would have been for you, but like you're constantly just celebrating their deaths. um
mm.
yeah, I had a second point there, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, but no, I mean, there definitely is this. Yeah, like you said, with the whole like cancellation and getting praise for it and stuff like that. Because I can remember when Xbox obviously got Activision Blizzard and stuff like that, and all these absorbed. Even with like Bethesda as well, and there were a handful of internal cancellations for games and stuff like that, and there was so much negative talk about it, of like, oh, they've just bought them on and they're just fucking axing like all these games and cutting creativity or whatever like that, and it's just there's so much negative reception to that, where really they probably just had the same exact reasons as PlayStation are right now, where they're just like, this just ain't it. Like, I love the idea, but it's just not going to happen. Like with the Blizzard game that got cancelled, the not the service one, the what do you call it, survival one, yeah, that one, and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, it just receives so negatively in like the media. But then when Sony do it, it's just like, oh, good job, yeah. No need to stay in the God of War name. Yeah, well done. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, don't like it. Like, at least be consistent with your negativity.
Yeah, I just think it's really yeah. I mean, yeah, PlayStation never get the same heat that Xbox does, but I just think it's kind of sad that PlayStation are so risk averse with this stuff that they won't even
Hmm.
try. Um, However, understanding that it is the reality of business, and at some point they've got to look at the numbers and say, well, this ain't looking too hot, is it? My next sort of question around that is when people are saying, yes, thank God, like, Sony are canceling all these games, they're going back to their roots, single player, AAA games, here we go. Where's this money coming from? Because I can assure you, they didn't sidestep into making 50% service games for shits and giggles. Like they did that because they needed the money.
Hmm. Yeah.
And we've known that,
Yeah.
it's not a secret. Profit margins are really thin and all of that. Like they want a bit more stability and security. And they're looking at the release of the slowdown of the cadence they've got with their single player games because budgets are so big, and they're saying, fucking, if one of these miss,
Hmm.
we're in trouble. Uh and actually, PlayStation is like 50% of Sony's like revenue. I don't know if you knew that. Like PlayStation are a huge percentage of
Hmm.
Sony.
Okay.
Uh so what that means is that they've got to be very careful with the money they're putting. into PlayStation, and just looking at like the amount of money that must have been wasted from all these cancellations. Like when people are celebrating it, I'm asking, they're gonna have to make this money somehow, guys. Like they're not just gonna give up on trying to make this money. Like they need this money. So if it's
Mm,
not this, it's something else. So pick your poison, really.
yeah,
I just,
yeah, because
it
they,
just
they
has
can't
yet
just
to reveal itself.
they can't just keep pumping out like your Wolverines and your Spider-Man 3s and stuff like that every few years, and have that as their only revenue stream. It just doesn't make money, and if that is their plan, they're gonna have to eventually start skimping out on these games, and maybe they'll start to dip in quality and stuff like that, because you can't, you have to have something alongside it that keeps the money streaming in to fund projects like this. Yeah, no, it's quite interesting. I do feel like, yeah, I feel like when you actually, weirdly, when you look at them from like from the outside in, as like companies and like revenue and where they're heading, I feel like Xbox is in a much healthier place. Like, sure, they're taking more risks, but in terms of like where they're heading, and like just the consistent amount of money coming in, with how they're choosing to spread out their portfolio and put games everywhere like that, they're far, far more stable and in a far better position than Sony. Um, which I guess is, why that everyone sees Xbox as that greedy corporation, don't they? And PlayStation is the underdog that
Yeah, exactly.
has to make God of War in their garage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
one man. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
it's just, it just begs the question of like, what is the thing that they're going to do to source the rest of that revenue? And they're looking at other ways, like, they're doing TV shows and movies in the same way that everybody seems to be doing now, but also they're like excessively releasing a lot of remasters, remakes, director's cuts. Like that's, I think, one of the things they're doing.
go-tos.
They're looking at, yeah, exactly. So like expect way more of them. you know,
Yeah.
uh,
You're getting a
and who
Ghost of
knows?
Yotai director's cut like halfway through the next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like guaranteed. Yeah.
And like, I wouldn't even be surprised if they try and budge up the price of games a bit more. It wouldn't
Mm,
surprise me.
yeah. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah. Especially with the blunder they made with the whole PS5 Pro. Let's not forget about that. That was a pretty big money pit by the sounds of it. Obviously, I don't know the exact figures behind it, but I don't think it sat well. um,
Mm.
so that'd be quite interesting. And if they do want to make that product seem more appealing, um, they're gonna have to, pump more into the development of these games to be like, make it more appealing for the PS5 Pro, and then that might come at an additional cost. These PS5 Pro enhanced games might come in at like £80, stuff like that. So yeah, it could be interesting to see where it goes, because they're gonna have to start squeezing money out of people somehow. So mm,
And I think, especially when you're looking at GTA coming out, uh, you know, I do wonder if that game is priced higher than your standard RRP. And if that does happen, the floodgates are open. You know,
oh, you think it might
like
drop at like 85 or like 80 quid or something
I mean, maybe.
with a
I
shark
think
card?
that really could happen. Yeah, yeah. I think that really is a possibility we're looking at, and I just think if that you're not getting the toothpaste back in the tube if that happens, if that because the game will sell very well at 80 or 90. I don't think they'd put it at 100, maybe 99 if they're really pushing it, but it would sell really well, and that would indicate to
Well, like a standard edition,
publishers.
you think there's a very real possibility a standard edition of GTA could go up to 99?
Yeah, man, I
That's
do.
crazy, dude. If that happens, will I will that's oh god, I wouldn't even want to know what the fallout of that would look like.
Like, as we know these big budget games are like really struggling. They're like increasing. Like the gaming industry has stagnated now. The COVID bubble popped, and like there's just not that much growth going on anymore. And investors are looking at that and saying like, well, where's my money coming from? You're not getting any more new gamers in. Like, you've reached the peak by the looks of it. So where's my where's me money coming from?
Me money,
You know,
SpongeBob.
like live service games seems to have hit their cap. Like, it's damn near impossible to like try and break into that unless we take a massive risk. So like, what's an easy way to get more money? And it wouldn't surprise me if there are conversations going on in Take-Two where they think, like, I want $80, $90. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm sure PlayStation would be fucking thrilled if that was the case, because then they could get away with charging more, and that would probably sustain them on just doing their single player games for a bit longer
Yeah.
until they figure out what's next.
Interesting
Okay.
take.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to. I don't really have anything else to say about this, to be honest. I don't know. I wish I had more to say about this, but I feel like I can't not mention it. But that is Forza Horizon 5, Age of Mythology, and Age of Empires 2 remastered, all going to PS5. I know what I'll say. I predicted in our first show that one of Xbox's big three would go to PlayStation 5, Forza, Halo, or Gears.
You did.
That shit happened.
And you
It's only February.
predicted the Switch blunder.
The Switch controversy, yeah.
The Switch controversy. God, you're on fire, man.
I'm cooking, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Forza is kind of a big deal. Age of Mythology and Age of Empires, you know, I think they're pretty good picks, to be honest, because I feel like I feel like they could just use with more people, you know, getting their hands on the RTS genre and from a home console perspective. And yeah, I just think they're pretty decent picks to go in. But Forza is a bit of a big one. But yeah.
I'm very interested to see how Forza Horizon 5 is going to be received on PlayStation 5, Tim.
You think?
Very interested.
You don't think people? Do you think people will stop playing The Crew?
What was the other one?
Turismo?
Is it Drive Club? Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, Drive Club, I think is another one. Yeah, but I think their big one is obviously their big racing franchise is Gran Turismo, isn't it? But that's a bit more simmy, I think. But I think it'll probably pop off. I don't see why not.
I suppose, Tim.
Or not?
No, yeah, you're right. I'm just wondering if it'll make an appearance at the Game Awards this year.
Oh no, no.
Because back in 2021, it got the highest rated score of the year, and it didn't get nominated for Game of the Year. Didn't even get a nomination. Didn't even get a nomination, Tim. Highest rated Game of the Year.
Know.
Do you know the last time that happened? Never.
Never.
That's never happened before. That's the highest rated Game of the Year. Didn't even get a nomination.
Yes, it probably will be in the Game of the Year contention this year.
It'll get service. It'll get the ongoing game nomination. Yeah. Man, that felt good. It's been a while.
You cracked your back and hands and then just whipped yourself into it.
Felt good. But yeah, largely I'm with you. I think these are all great candidates. The only reason like Forza Horizon 5 surprises me a little bit is because we know the license for these games expire. Like Forza Horizon 4 just got delisted, and that came out in like 2018, 2017.
Yeah.
So I guess what's that? 7, 8 years. Yeah, I guess it's still got 3 or 4 years left in it, maybe. But yeah, I mean that game's going to feel great on like with the DualSense and everything. I'm sure they can utilize that. It's going to look great on a PS5 Pro. It's just a good candidate. Yeah. Just begs the question if something like Halo Master Chief Collection is going to go across. Well, like I'm pretty sure it will. Same with like if there is a Gears collection, I think that probably launches day and date on PlayStation 5 as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Tim, Xbox was the #1 publisher in the world in December. Does that surprise you? Does that not surprise you? What do you think?
It kind of does surprise me actually, because I feel like that just sheds a light on just actually how well indie did, I guess. Right?
Well, they had indie, they had Call of Duty. Don't forget about Call of Duty.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, yeah. Was Call of Duty
Flight
really in
Sim,
December?
Stalker. It was in November,
Oh,
maybe even
okay, but it's
October.
just because it's a service game, it just sort of carries in. Okay, I see. Yeah, I was about to say, I swear it didn't like launch in December. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess when you put it that way with like Call of Duty and everything like that coming into the mix, but again, I think that shows okay promise because we weren't sure about the whole Call of Duty and Games Pass thing, um, and to be honest, I'm still not. Like, it'd be interesting to see actually how that is going in terms of revenue and players and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
I don't really know the inner workings of all that, but um, yeah, I guess it's just a combination of those two, I guess. But did indie do quite well? Did it number wise? Didn't it kind of pop off on like PC? Didn't it? Got quite a lot on PC, I thought.
And what are you talking? Are you just talking about like players?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it did okay. I mean, I didn't do like massive numbers. I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't have the numbers for Steam to hand, but like the number that's coming to head is that it got maybe like 70K concurrent. That might be wrong. That's just a number that's coming to mind, but it's performed really well and consistently on the Xbox store, which
Mm.
means because everybody playing there is going to be playing on Game Pass, really, like 90% of people there are going to be playing on Game Pass. So that's an indication that it probably got played more than what is visible on Steam because people were probably playing on Game Pass for PC, if that makes sense. So it's a bit of a
Yeah.
it's not really accurate to just use the Steam number to gauge its success because I'm just looking right now. Xbox most played games 5, 10, 15. Indiana Jones is still the 19th most played game, which is up there with EA Sports FC, so FIFA, and Apex
Mm.
Legend, which is number 18. Like
Okay.
it's still up
Yeah.
there 3 months
Yeah.
later, above Destiny 2, above Overwatch 2. So I
Hmm.
think it's probably done quite well. Like, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
as it's not like some major probably hit in the way that Spider-Man would have been, but actually, I think every time I look at this, I'm surprised to see it's still in the charts.
Mm. Yeah, I
It's
think they're
word of
probably
mouth, I
quite
guess.
happy with how it's performed critically and how players and stuff like that. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if anything comes of this, or it just in the
Mm,
sense of more licensed games, or whether or not it's just like a sequel. I don't know.
yeah,
And it's still yet to even
definitely.
release on PlayStation. Coming out PlayStation March. I feel
They
March.
even said they just said this spring, so
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. We just assumed it could be March. Yeah. Um, but yeah, number one. Has that ever happened? With Xbox
what?
being like number one, like publisher in
No,
like a month.
no,
Is that
no.
a first time? Is it?
Yeah, to my knowledge, yeah. I mean, there's no way. The only, I mean, because some people say, yeah, well, like no, duh, because like they fucking acquired Bethesda and Activision, so yeah, of course they're going to be bringing in the most revenue. Like they're bigger than like um EA, they're bigger than Ubisoft, by number count, by employee count. So yeah, like duh, which is like fine, but I mean, yeah, I mean, the fact that they still managed to get ahead of like even the juggernauts like Tencent, um, or
That's
Take Two
true.
or whatever, like it's still I think pretty clear that it's kind of moving them in the direction that they want to be moving in becoming the world's biggest publisher or like becoming a very good publisher at the very least.
Mm.
Um,
Who
that side
publishes
of it seems to be working.
Fortnite?
Fortnite is Epic.
Epic. Yeah, so they're even outdoing Epic as well,
Mm,
which is saying a lot. Yeah. Yeah, when you think
yeah,
about how many big players there actually are, yeah.
absolutely. So it's kind of cool, I guess. And there were, man, like, so the financial results came out, but I haven't listed them in here because, like, I kept seeing so many, like, very complex and nuanced perspectives on what the numbers meant. But they were, like, as you'd expect, it was like hardware was down 20%. Um, Interestingly, like, gaming content was down a couple of percent, which was like, and all of this was in line with their expectations. And actually, they said that they did a little bit better than they thought they did. But then content and services was up by like 3% or something. So it was like, basically Game Pass subscriptions were up and we were making more money overall because of that. But in terms of game purchases, that was down a bit. And obviously hardware was down as per usual. But
But they kind of go hand in hand, don't they? when Games Pass goes up, game purchasing will go down. I feel like that's just a natural.
Yes, I
give
think
and
it does a
take,
little bit.
right? Yeah.
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 So, so yeah, and then some of their forecasts going forward is that steadily grows, but like it didn't really feel like there was enough meat on that bone to make that its own topic. So, but nonetheless, it feels like on the side of Xbox becoming a good, consistent publisher that can make money that way, that seems to kind of be working. It's everything else that's a bit of a question mark.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
let's round out the show with a rumor mill, Tim.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love a rumor mill. Let him cook. What is a rumor mill? What's the mill part? Like
Such a good question.
like a windmill.
I think so. Rumor mill. Where does the word? Fuck. Let's get Bing. But does Bing listen to me? Copilot. It's not loading, Tim. Oh, here we go. Does voice message work? Where does the phrase? She's fucking talking to me. Hang on. Where does the phrase rumor mill come from? None of it's working, dude. She's just shut up. She's just talking in my ear.
Jesus.
Dude, just do something
I
funny.
didn't
Hang on, we're
realize
gonna figure this out.
I opened up such a can of worms here.
She just kept blabbering in my ear. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble responding to requests right now.
It's all right, man. Oh my god. That was that was such good timing. It almost looked like he said that about himself and then left. I'm having trouble processing a request right now. I'm responding to requests and then he just left. Oh,
No,
there
I'm
was
here.
something. There was something very comedic about that timing because it's almost like you were saying it about yourself. You were like, I'm having trouble responding to requests right now," and then you just left. It was like you were talking about yourself. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, that's me. That is good.
2 disconnects a show on average.
Right. I know. Yeah. I just can't help myself. I mean, that time I didn't even touch my cable. I just slammed my hands down onto the desk and it just wiggled out. Man, I really.
It's fine.
This
We
is gonna
don't need
bother
to
you.
know
Shouldn't have said
where
anything.
we don't we don't need to.
Word origin. Where did it come from? Where did it go? Where did the rumor mill come from? Cotton Eye Joe? I can't find it, dude.
Yeah, I can't either.
I can't find
It's
it.
fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I can't fucking find it.
We're on to the rumor mill section.
Oh my god, Jesus.
Yeah, that was gross. I chew my
That's
next
crazy.
30 packs of ciggies, man. Let's wrap this up. I want to
Okay,
smoke
sure.
some ciggies and click on
right.
some heads.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Hello, Loonsky.
Okay, so
You want to be on the pod?
we had a brief rumor mill from Tom Warren on his notepad thingy that he does. Everybody say hi to Luna. Can I get a hi, Luna, in the chat?
I wonder if my mic picks up the purring. I think it actually was. That's really funny.
Oh. Can we get a meow?
No, she only meeps for food.
No. Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, man.
So, Tim, we're looking at part 1 of the rumor mill. Oblivion remake / remaster in spring.
I feel like we can talk about that
Gears
forever.
of E-Day. Yep, Gears of E-Day targeting 2025.
Okay.
Clockwork Revolution and Contraband to be presented at the showcase in June.
Whoa. Okay.
We're cooking. We're still cooking.
The biggest shock to me there
surprises?
is E-Day for 2025. That's the biggest shock to me.
It's mental, isn't it?
All we've had is like a CG like teaser for that game, and it might be releasing this year. That's crazy. That do be nutty though. Actually, it wasn't CG, was it? It was in game. It was engine footage, wasn't it?
It was engine, yeah.
Yeah, rendered. Yeah, in engine. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything there jumping
Okay.
off the screen as a particularly exciting thing for you?
Yes, Contraband for me. Yeah. Weirdly, I don't even know if it's my kind of game. I
Oh,
just,
you're being serious?
yeah, I'm being deadly serious. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
okay. I thought this was like a bit. Okay, go on.
No,
Pop
no,
off.
I'm being deadly serious. I think Contraband it
I'm
was
co-
always very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Let's see where he's going with this. I'm Cook. Um, yeah, I always feel like it was a very interesting concept, and I just want to know more about it. Like, I want to see it as well. Like, I really dug the trailer they did as well. I thought it was really, really cool. Cool vibes. I like the music. I like the whole aesthetic of it. So I'm just interested to see how a primarily driving only heist game is going to look. Like I said, it might not be my cup of tea, and I might just be like, yeah, that I will not download that and play that, but I kind of just want to see it too. I know it's kind of weird, um, and
It's that payday sort of energy,
yeah, a
but
little
nothing
bit,
else kind of
and
scratched.
yeah, we
Yeah.
loved Payday 2. Like
Yeah.
we were huge fans of that, and yeah, I guess Gears E Day being the 2025 is probably the other crazy hit for me. Like I could so do another co-op Gears campaign with you. Like I'm ready for that. Like I still remember when we did Gears
Hell
5.
yeah.
I had such a good time with that game. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm definitely ready for another one of those for sure. And probably the least for me is probably just Oblivion. Like I just keep hearing
Yeah.
about this, and like sure it'll be great when it comes out, but like I'm not like counting down the days for it even if I knew its
No.
release date, to be honest. And I just keep hearing things about it happening, not happening, remaster, remake. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of over it at this point a little bit.
I do kind of feel like it's going to be one of those things that I'm just going to end up disappointed with. Like I can't
Yeah,
put my finger on it,
I
but I
get
just
that
feel like
vibe. Yeah.
it's going to come out. I'm going to be like, I wish this was more.
Yeah,
So like it's kind
I
of
don't
cool.
think the hype, and I don't think this like will they won't they is actually doing them any favors.
No.
I
Yeah.
feel
No,
like they
you're
just
right.
need to just whatever they got cooking, they just need to like talk about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Interesting. Cool. And then the second part of our rumor mill, which was a lot more recently, which comes from Nate the Hate, the famous Nate the Hate, who gets
Oh
everything
yeah,
right always.
he does.
You know, this generation's man, I was about to fucking embarrass myself there. I was about to say this generation's Nosferatu, when of course what I meant was this generation's Nostradamus. Man, that could have really been it.
Nosferatu.
That could have really been it. That could have been it for me.
Oh my god, dude, that's
This
great.
whole perception I have of my intellect is just gone, just like that with one line.
This generation's Nosferatu. It doesn't even make any sense.
No, it doesn't make a single bit of sense. Man, have you seen that yet?
I
The trailer?
haven't. No, I kind of wanted to, but then I heard kind of mixed things about it and stuff like that.
What? No,
But
no, you didn't hear mixed things about it.
yeah, I did.
From who? No, you didn't.
No, I heard that actually didn't cook that much, man.
Yes, it did cook that much.
It didn't. Look,
Yes, it
it
did.
was like a microwave meal at best.
No, 85% Rotten Tomatoes, 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. Boom.
Yeah, see, 7.4. It's mid.
No, films
Um,
work differently, Tim. They actually use the 10-point scale in films. 7.4 is a very good score on IMDb.
I watched Alien Romulus last night though, and that was pretty good.
Oh, yeah? Did you like that?
Yeah, it was a good movie. Yeah, I
Yeah,
liked
I
it.
liked Rotten. Did you like the big fucking gangly guy at the end?
Yeah, I did. Did you know that guy was that was mocapped off a real person? Search it up. He's a
I
basketball.
did, yeah. I
He's
did
a
see that.
basketball
Yeah.
player, and he looks awful. He looks like an actual like horror story. Sorry to that guy, but he does.
Man,
He's
poor
he's a
dude.
bit of a freak of nature, and yeah, they just used him. Imagine that. Imagine being approached like, we're looking to do this really gangly, grotesque creature at the end of our movie. Do you want to
Yeah.
mocap
You in? Yeah.
it? We feel like you'll be great because you're disgusting to look at.
Yeah. You are so freaky. You are
Yeah,
so fucking freaky, dude.
yeah. Which is why we're doing this over call. I actually just didn't even want to be in the same room as you.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, no, it's pretty good. Yeah, and pretty weird. It definitely took a turn for the weirdness in the last like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
um,
it did, didn't
but yeah. Anyway, Nosferatu. Let's talk about this generation's Nosferatu.
it? You don't want to see Bill Skarsgård talk like this for 2 hours.
That felt like 2 hours.
It's a good film. Go watch it.
Okay.
He does not miss whatever his fucking name is. Robert Eggers. Every single film he touches turns to gold. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Did you ever watch The Vitch?
I did. Yeah. It's a good movie.
Did you like The Vitch?
Very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Robert Eggers. Did you
Very
ever
good.
watch
Very
The Lighthouse?
unsettling. Uh, no. No, I haven't. I
It's
feel
just
like
Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe losing their fucking minds like in a lighthouse.
yes. Okay. Yeah. No, I haven't watched it, but I literally have been like I've like clicked on it to watch it, and it's piqued my interest, but I haven't actually watched it. I know the exact movie you're talking about. It's
Bang on that one.
iconic. There's a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
is
memes
iconic.
about it, and
There is, yeah. And then the Northman is the other one, which also actually, funny enough, has a lot of memes about it as well. But
I
the
haven't seen.
Northman
I
is
don't
also
even know
very
what
good.
the Northman is. To be fair.
Also sensational.
Okay.
Anyway, it's Robert Eggers. This generation's Nosferatu. Okay. Stupid. Okay. So Nate the Hate said, barring any late changes, Final Fantasy 16 announcement / release for Xbox will be soon. And no, not in the immediate future, but it should release by the first half of the year, around spring, basically.
Hmm.
It's happening.
You can do it. You can play a Final Fantasy deck.
I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it on your recommendation.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy Final Fantasy 16. I think it has its moments where every JRPG just slows down and you're like, why the fuck am I getting bread for this guy? But I think generally you're going to love it, and like the set pieces that game have, I think will drop your jaw, assuming it's not a shitty ass port.
But we're not done yet, Tim. Final Fantasy VII Remake is planned for Xbox for later this year, with Rebirth coming in 2026.
Cook.
The announcement is the only unknown, apparently. But he thinks that they're all going to be announced at the same time. So yeah, there we go. Like, it's happening. We've been talking about this for like fucking years now. It feels like, oh, give me your crumbs, Square Enix.
Yeah,
Stop
give me your
making
game that came out
dumb-
in 2017. Was it 2017?
Yeah.
It was something like that. It's
Yeah,
fucking
something like
stupid, dude. We're in 2025. We're getting hyped over a 2017 release.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. I know that much, but I'm not sure
And
it's
it's
20.
like
I feel like it was. I don't know.
rolls around to 2022 and fucking Square Enix are like, huh. I don't think we're making that much money just releasing on the PlayStation.
Yeah, because didn't it kind of cook as well, Rebirth, when it came to PC, and they're just like, we should have fucking done this a long ass time ago. We should have been releasing across the board a long time ago. And Sony like, nah. Like, see, if you look here, it's just fucking like tricking them with like close up magic.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's like
putting a
to do
napkin.
the dice, like yeah, like pull out flowers out of their sleeve. Like, it's got a point, you know. It's got a point.
The finance guy in the meeting at Square Enix. It's like he doesn't have a point. He's just like the numbers. Remember what we talked about?
Yeah.
He pulled flowers out of his wrist, dude. God, hats off. He knows.
He's an executive and a magician. Like, that's crazy. I think we should stay on PlayStation.
Yeah. They must be making decent money if he's got time to learn stuff like that.
Yeah, just doing like the most basic of like magic tricks. Just doing that thing where you like flicks the cards up into the air and then pulls one out from behind his ear.
Yeah. Ooh, where'd the coin go? There it is. That coin, just a fraction of the money you'll make if you stick with
Yeah,
PlayStation this year.
yeah. Plenty more where that came from.
Not much more, but a little bit more.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. Yeah, you probably won't be able to pay all your employees, but I mean, PlayStation, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it turns out Final Fantasy VII Remake actually came out in 2020, Tim. That was an absolute.
Oh wow, that's way later
Yeah,
than I thought.
same. I thought it was. I did not think that was a pandemic game.
I thought yeah, I didn't even think it was as late as 2018. I didn't think it came out like after the God of Wars and stuff like that. Yeah, crazy.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, I've
Mhm.
stated again and again my interest to like play a Final Fantasy game, especially because like post Seven Remake, there seems to have been like a big uptick in like interest and quality around those games.
Mm.
So and everybody always talks about Seven being the best one. So it would be a really nice entry point for me to try those games. So I think I mean it will get added to the backlog, no doubt. But because it's such a busy year for
Mhm.
things I want to play. But I'm super interested in playing both of those games. I'm glad that it's finally happening, and that has got to be like one of the closing kind of points for the episode, I suppose, which is like thinking about some of the things we've spoken of before with PlayStation canceling some of their games, Xbox porting some of their games, and now PlayStation like releasing their grip on yet another IP, the biggest Japanese IP, by the way,
Yeah.
the biggest Japanese
Yeah.
RPG ever, like releasing their grip on that and allowing that to go to Xbox is
It's telling.
and because I know
Yeah.
yes, it is telling, and because I know some people are going to say, oh well, look, that doesn't count, and neither does Death Stranding, and neither does Lego Horizon going to Switch, and neither does MLB going multi-platform, and neither does this, and neither does that. But if PlayStation wanted to keep these games permanently off Xbox,
They would.
then they would have just thrown more money at it. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
beneath them. They've
They've done
kept
that
like
in the
guns.
past.
Yeah, they've kept guns off Xbox for ages in Destiny 2. Like they paid for that shit. Like it's not beneath them. They would
Mm.
do it. I just think that they're aware that it's such a money sink. And also with the amount of money that they've been losing with canceling these games, with the flop like Concord, I reckon they're finally having to be like, oh, I'm not sure we can stay in the green if we're just paying for all of this timed exclusivity, like for such long periods of time. Fuck it, we'll stop paying them this year. Do whatever you want, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
I think that's exactly
so
what's
it's
happening. Yeah. And I
feasible, isn't it? Ooh.
Yeah, no, I genuinely think that's exactly what's happening. And I think overall, I think it's just going to benefit everyone. I think Sony will be pleasantly surprised at what's happening, but I mean, albeit like the revenue, they won't see any of that from Final Fantasy 16, will they? I always forget because they don't actually have Square Enix. Square Enix are an
No,
independent, so they're not going to be
exactly.
like, oh, we should have done this ages ago. They're not seeing any of the money that comes from 16 or 7 remake that's comes to PlayStation, but
No.
they can still look at the numbers and be like, yeah, this was like hard our platform, and look how well it's performing over here. Like that, let's imagine one of that with one of our like IPs, right? One of our
Yep.
pillar, like well, maybe not pillar IP, but yeah, some of them for sure. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, I think it could be quite an interesting time when these things come out. I think it could start to shape and develop how Sony think
Yeah.
moving forward.
And I like it must have helped that Atlas gave Xbox the marketing rights and then it performed like well on Xbox. Metaphor, that is Metaphor
Mm,
with Fantasio. Like that must have helped, or at least help push things along. Like, okay,
yeah, we're
Xbox
not,
gamers aren't like phobic of Japanese games.
and just the fact that like Xbox were just chosen over PlayStation, or at least approached equally over PlayStation for a JRPG, where they're like, you know, that shit's like their bread and butter, based on their audience and stuff like that, and they were essentially approached on equal terms. And sure, like Xbox might have thrown more money to get it, but they were still both approached, for that marketing deal, and that has got to be a bit like, oh shit, like this could happen with some more in the future as well, and with Visions of Mana as well, and Square Enix and stuff like that. They've got to start with thinking like JRPGs were like a shoe in for us. We were the JRPG machine, and it's not happening so
Well, yeah,
consistently
I mean,
anymore.
exactly. I mean, that is one of the things we can definitely give Phil his flowers for. He's been speaking about for ages, getting
Yeah,
Japanese
I love Phil for
creators
that.
back on the
Yeah.
platform. And he's like not been bullshitting with that. Like the fruits of those labors are like very clearly here. Like, and just some other examples off the dome. Like Path of the Goddess from Capcom last year, like getting a Capcom game
Hmm.
day one on Game Pass, especially one that was so well received. It's not a blockbuster, but still. And then
Hmm.
Ninja Gaiden. You know,
Yeah.
two of them. One of them was a shadow drop into Game Pass. They're both on Game Pass. There's more I can't think of right now, but
They
yeah.
did that one way back when he, like back at the beginning of the JRPG thing, where they did the Scarlet Nexus in Games Pass as well, which was a good
Yep.
game.
Yeah, that was
Um,
day one, wasn't it?
yeah, that was a really good game actually. So yeah, no, definitely, it's one of the things I appreciate most of what Phil's accomplished with his time with Xbox for sure. With it being like one of my favorite genres. So
Definitely. Amazing. Okay, well, I kind of think that brings us towards the end of the show. I mean, I guess like just putting a nail in that final point, like Jason Schreier had tweeted out, he posted out on Blue Sky. I don't know what you want to know what you call it on Blue Sky. Which, by the way, I've made a
mm,
Blue Sky account, so go and follow me there because I'm starting to really fucking hate Twitter and like it's so much more peaceful over on Blue Sky. So please come and follow me over there. I'll have to change to update the assets on the show so that it's not that stupid. I'll have to change it to the Blue Sky logo. Anyway,
yeah.
Jason tried to two things summarizing the some of the data analysis put out there by Matt Piscatella, one of the games industry analysts, and his summary points were twofold. Number one, Steam has become a bright spot for many game makers as console sales have flattened. Number two, console exclusives will become obsolete soon, especially for third-party publishers. And I just think
Mm.
coming from someone like Jason Schreier, who's very in the know, like it does make me wonder, does he know of like, because I don't think he would just say that if he was just talking about Xbox putting more games on other platforms. Well, duh, obviously, I'm
Mm.
watching with great interest, is I suppose all I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's probably saying that with a bit more evidence behind what he's seeing internally and everything, but I feel like that's a direction we can all agree is probably quite likely, right? Um
Oh, dude, our PlayStation fans on the internet are losing their minds. They're like really in denial that
yeah, but I really feel like that if they just don't join the party where when everyone else probably will, they're just they'll only suffer for it to the point where they will have their hand forced. If the rest of the competition is doing it whether they like it or not, I do think it's something that will happen. Yeah, it might not be their choice. They might have to be forced into it, but yeah, I do think that is kind of where it's heading.
I could see a future in either direction where PlayStation kind of just commits to the console vision and just tries to totally eradicate Xbox and steal their console share. Like maybe there is a way they try to survive in that direction. But I could also see this idea, where they do start continuing loosening their grip on exclusives and eventually following in Xbox's footsteps, as they regularly do. It's just that
Mm.
this is a big one. And as much as I gave people shit earlier for it, like you could technically put an asterisk next to all of the previous PlayStation games that have gone over to other platforms. Like technically it's not a first party game that has gone over in the same way like Hi-Fi Rush going over is
Mm.
or Forza Horizon 5 is, it's not quite the same there.
Or indie when it
So
does. Yeah.
or indie, exactly, so it's not it's not quite the same. However, I'm just kind of looking at the bigger picture, the larger trends, and that certainly seems to be the thing that's coming up. So um Be very interested to see if we get any announcement like that by the end of this year. I personally don't think we do. I reckon it'll be a couple of years before we see anything like that from PlayStation. But
Yeah,
if at
they'll
if at
sit
all.
on it. They'll be the last to do it. Yeah, 100%.
All right, well that brings us towards the end of the show. So
Mm.
if you've been listening live, if you've been listening to us after the fact, come over and give us a like. Come give us a follow on Blue Sky or Twitter if you feel like subjecting yourself to that hellhole. You can give us a rating on Spotify or wherever you listen to the podcast. That'd be nice.
Bless up.
What's up? No cap. Skibbity Ohio Riz.
Yeah. Give us some Riz. There should be a platform that uses like Riz instead of likes.
What do you mean?
You know, like you just get Riz, like Riz points, like low Riz or high Riz based on if you've done a good post or a good tweet or whatever.
Low Riz or high Riz?
Yeah. And then if it pops off, you get like a Skibbity badge. Or like an Ohio.
No!
I'm doing it. This is it. I'm locking it down. Anyone listening,
This is
that's
your
my
Facebook.
idea.
This is your Facebook breakout moment.
Yeah. This is
I
it.
can see it now.
And if you're not in now, Dave,
Sorry,
you're not in ever. So make your choice.
They're going to make a film about you and they're going to cast fucking...
Yeah.
Blue
You and your
Hemsworth.
fuck you flip flops.
Man. All right, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye
See you
bye,
next week.
everyone.